And good evening, everyone, once again. So, good evening. Round 4 of Scorpio Superformula 23 Championship, round 4 Nurburgring GP. As you can see, it's pouring rain. It's going to be really challenging for the drivers. With me tonight is Blade. Blade, good evening.
Good evening, everybody.
Or good day, I don't know. Where I'm from, it's 9:30, so a proper evening. We have drivers just going in their fast lap, so flying lap, and Lester is first on the grid, so let's follow him. Let's see how this will end. The conditions today, as you can see, are very, very challenging. A lot of rain is coming down. It's gonna be like this for the opening 20-ish minutes. How much laps do we have today? 58?
Yes, it is a 58 lap event here at the Nurburgring in the Eifel region of Germany. Should be a very exciting one. Obviously, our first proper rain event. We had a little bit of a drizzle, so to speak, going on at Suzuka, but nothing that even prompted our drivers to think about going onto the intermediate or wet tires. So it'll be very interesting to see who out of our 15-strong grid this evening will have the skills to tackle the wet weather conditions.
Yeah, we see now Super S2K, well, he's not anymore. Arigada takes P1 provisional pole for the time being. We saw as well earlier Lester bottling the lap and abandoning it, letting Super S2K to go first. We see him struggle again now, just going out of Mercedes-Benz complex. He's P11 at the moment, so Arigada P1, Super S2K P2, Chunk P3. That's the top three. Sanchez P4 at the moment, Philo P5 with a penalty for this lap, so he will, yeah, it won't be the best lap for him. Roach P6, Graminus P7, and a short trip to the sand, to the gravel. Adam P8, Michael P9, Quackadelli Blip P10, Lester 11, Paymay 12, Scorpio Ivan 13th, Supa 14th, and Safe Osama 15th. Blade, can you lead us a bit through the standings at the moment? We know that it's super close at the front.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I can't seem to find the full standings, but for the moment, we do know at least the top two drivers. Only 1 point separates our top two in the championship. Arigada, having taken his second win of the season last time out at Daytona, currently leads AMS Drift King Chung in the standings. So our two winners on the season so far, 1-2 in the championship. Certainly looking for the AMS drivers to try and fight back here, as we see Chung go and take that net pole position by almost half a second over Arigada as he comes up to the line. Or actually, the line's much earlier on the straightaway.
Yeah, he didn't improve his lap, so he was 1.5 seconds off his best pace, and we see him spin in the Mercedes-Benz complex. So Super S2K is here a tenth and a half off Arigada. Maybe he can spice things up and take P2 or P1. So the AMS guys would be in front then.
Yeah, certainly for his teammates' sake, they will want those AMS drivers will want to be 1-2 for the start of this race, which I think they have been for all three rounds so far of this season. As we saw a driver off there, as we were just flicking through the cameras, it'll be very interesting to see if these AMS drivers can translate their qualifying pace over into the race. Obviously, we've seen Arigada some of the strongest race pace of anyone on the grid all season. So it'll be very interesting to see how, or if the AMS drivers can try to hold the candle to them and fight back, especially now with this wild card and the wet weather conditions.
Yeah, I'm following Lester, so the driver who Did make a couple of mistakes in the opening laps. This is the final flying lap for him, but he didn't improve so much. 149.6, definitely not the best laps from him. Gramenos just in front of him. P7 almost 3 seconds behind. That's a lot. Those are some big gaps. Chung, as you said, almost half a second in front of Arigada. That's spectacular time. Yeah.
Certainly, Rain has always been known as the great equalizer when it comes to racing. So very interesting to see how these drivers' skill translates from dry weather conditions, which we've seen so far all season, into now. We're seeing the real cream of the crop rising to the top here. Once again, those two AMS drivers, 1 and 3, we'll see if Super 2K can find his way back up the grid, but he runs wide in the hairpin.
Yeah, Philo here experimenting here with intermediates.
Experimenting certainly with the intermediates. That's a bold choice. I don't know if that's really going to work out for him.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going. It's a bit too wet.
Certainly very wet indeed. Although I should say, as we were getting ready in the practice sessions, I believe I did see someone, as there's a car spun sideways in the Mercedes complex. I don't know why, but I think I might have seen someone running the hard compound tire for whatever reason. Which, I mean, a choice given the conditions.
Yeah.
They certainly weren't lining up the timing sheets at all, but, you know, worst case scenario, you get caught off guard and you need to limp your way back to the pits, you know, get that sort of practice in early.
It's very packed here at the end, so we have Scorpio, Ivan, Payme and Michael 10th and a half away, 3 drivers within 10th and a half, which is nice to see.
Yeah. And then Quackadilly Blip, a new teammate to Ivan in this series now. Recent partnership created between those two, between rounds, kind of in and amongst the mix as well. So we'll see if those two new teammates can work together and find their way up the grid a bit here, as we have what's it, about 5 minutes left to go in qualifying.
5 minutes sharp, yeah, left to go. Arigada just spinning in the Mercedes-Benz complex as well. So I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy today. Maybe he will not even try to improve. P2 is good enough. The race is very long. Nothing to get here. Maybe you're P1. Will it help you or not? It's really tough to say, right? So he's on the front row. It seems that both Chung and Arigada are happy with this. Maybe the rain is pouring a bit harder than it was before, and the laps cannot even be any better at the moment. So yeah, it is very challenging. We're seeing Super S2K here in the final corner at the moment.
A very smooth exit, must be said, coming out of that chicane as he makes his way around the final corner. Taking a wider line, but you would expect that in these conditions, just keeping it off that racing line, avoiding those rubbered-in areas, just searching for grip wherever you can find it. Very traditional wet line run through that corner.
We were
so
wrong.
Good on him.
Wrong. I saw that the qualifying today is 10 minutes only, so this is actually the final lap.
Ah.
Yeah.
Very interesting indeed. Sanchez with a slide coming out of the final corner. Again, running that wider line. Comes up to the line. Doesn't improve, however, as we see a few others coming around. It'll be very interesting to see, especially with how these, especially with where these drivers line up. We could see a very interesting starting grid, because obviously those who are starting closer to that inside wall, they're going to be off the racing line. There's going to be probably a little more water buildup over there. So it'll be interesting to see which line gets a better launch here, as it looks like Philo's practicing that launch.
He is. He's very interesting. He's using this time after quali has ended to practice a bit.
very wide into that corner. He won't be wanting to do that come race time.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. I think everybody is done. Yeah, now just we need to wait for the time to run out. Be happening quite soon.
I believe we're just waiting on a few more drivers to just make their way either back into the pit lane or just cross the line to signal the end of their session.
Yeah,
Certainly no one else improving at this point in time.
Phil is actually the only one there, so we needed to wait for the 3 minute mark to finish after the,
And there it is.
yeah, after the 10 minutes of qualifying. So yeah, this is the starting order. Chang, Arigara, Super S2K, top 3. And then a big gap to Sanchez on P4, 5 Roach P6. Yeah, the gaps are really, really big.
And it's certainly not to say that these drivers aren't as qualified, so to speak, as the three front runners. They have been very close all season. It's just obviously with these weather conditions, they're probably not quite as prepared for it. Maybe they only have a dry setup made for their vehicles. Other things to note for this 58 lap event. As it is a wet race, there are no mandatory tire compounds to be used. So tire strategy will be entirely up in the air to see what these drivers choose to run.
Correct, and it seems that everything is ready. Waiting for the host to start the race. 58 laps. See as well, Safe Osama didn't actually qualify here. Like he having a lap or the time in. So we'll see how he will cope with these conditions.
Well, I'd make the argument that perhaps he's just trying to save a couple sets of tires, but I don't think that's how this game works.
True.
As we are moments away from getting ready on the grid.
Yeah, we see the weather radar as well for the past 60 minutes. Plenty of rain.
Certainly looks like it's kind of clearing up, although obviously still decently heavy rain coming through. Certainly not as bad as it was at the beginning of the session.
Yeah, yeah. So conditions should improve after about 15 to 20 that, and there are some showers possible at around 30 to 40 minute mark.
A tire strategy race of who can make their tires last the longest and who will time it right and get out onto the intermediates or back on out onto the wets when the time comes.
True.
Would we even potentially see a dry compound tire at any point in this race?
We could.
We will have to find out.
Yeah, we could. Actually, it will be a very interesting race if it dries out. The thing is that we will then check who will be the bravest one to roll the dice. Like, if you time this perfectly, it's gonna be very rewarding, but as well it could backfire. So
Exactly. And of course, they'll want to make sure that, especially as we transition into that potential dry period, they will need to be on their A game once they make the switch onto the dry tires, really staying on that racing line that they've created over the course of the event, and just making sure that they stay in the cattle tracks and don't run out onto the wet stuff, because that will be day over if that happens.
and we see Safe Osama leaving the room. So maybe some issues with internet for him. We'll just wait briefly.
The good news is he was the driver that didn't set a qualifying time, so he should be able to just join in at the back of the grid as he normally would have.
We will start the race, and we are starting the race as the drivers are saying that he was the one having the issues, so I guess you can join now as well.
Good thing.
Yeah, finally.
For those who probably weren't aware, we've not had a case up until this season where we've only had which session is it? There it is. We only had 14 drivers at most in the 3 previous rounds. We added a 15th for whatever reason this week, which meant obviously we couldn't have both broadcasters in the event. As green light is out, we are underway. Both AMS drivers already up front. Arigata working his way in the 3rd place position, as I'll quickly try to get my info set up. Drift King leads the way from his teammate as he has a snap. What a... Oh, goodness gracious. Saves it just, but he's going to have some contact, going to get pushed off, and he's going to drop down from pole position down into... my timing score is a bit messed up. So
He's P6.
he's going to drop in behind Gramenos. Gramenos, actually, I believe, had a very good start as Roach nearly gets pushed out onto the AstroTurf. He'll have a snap of oversteer.
Supa is off.
Yep. One car spun around in the back. That is Supa. Chung down. Oh, I've just realized my timings and my timing table is so messed up. I'm jumping around into different positions.
Yeah,
this is great.
It will be okay. It will be okay after a lap. That's because you joined.
Hopefully,
the race was starting. Yeah. Yeah, the race. I mean, it was a messy start there at the beginning in the Mercedes-Benz Arena. Super S2K leading Garigara. So will we have a replay of the last round at Daytona where these two were fighting throughout the race? Philo from P5 or 6 at the start, P3 at the moment.
Car off in the back. One car went off at the chicane, had a heavy impact into the tire wall. I'm trying to find who that was. Can't seem to find him, unfortunately. They seem to have gotten back going. Fortunately, all drivers have managed to not use their overtake a lap early. So we are... And my timing and scoring has not fixed itself. That is great.
Okay, so what happened was that Quackadilly Blip was the one going into the wall, but not he didn't actually go into the wall. It was a bug. So we have extremely laggy lobby today, and we are going to see all kinds of witchcraft here by Gran Turismo today. I hope we will be able to broadcast this properly and that the lobby will not break down at one point. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Was it Arigata that went off?
No, Quackadilly Blip. So he was the one who went.
Okay.
Arigata is still P2.
Okay.
He's still okay. You might want to leave not the lobby, but just exit to the lobby.
I've tried that a couple times. It's still freaking out.
It doesn't work.
Drift King, has he managed to get back up into...
Drift King is now P5. Yeah, he's P5. Okay. He did overtake Sanchez. So he was P6 right after the mistake. But now he's P5, only 0.7 away from Gramenos, so we can follow this battle actually from his cockpit. Let me just find the cockpit. Oh, here it is.
This is going to update here.
Ooh, and a big... Oh yeah, big situation here for Chung. He made it, he managed to save it. But Gramenos went again on 0.8 of a second in front of him.
Alright, I think timing and scoring is fixed now. Again, I
Oh my god.
apologize, folks, for the technical difficulties, as we will call them. Gran Turismo seems to be having a bit of a day. Gee, I haven't dealt with this since Forza Motorsport. This is Forza levels bad at this point. So, Super 2K currently holding a 1.7 second lead over Arigata. I hope that is correct.
Yeah.
Philo currently running in the third place position, following up on his Suzuka performance, so good to see that out of him. Graminos currently running in the third position, or fourth position, excuse me. Drift King up and back up into fifth as he looks to make a recovery drive once again. Sanchez running sixth, Payme seventh, Lester eighth, Roach running in ninth, Michael rounding out the top 10, followed by the two Scorpio Motorsport drivers as Quackadilly runs wide. Oh, nope, that's lag. Never mind. Ivan and Quackadilly running 11th and 12th. Supa back up to 13th, and Adam seemingly having had a bunch of issues, currently running last in 14th.
It could be that Quackadilly is the one causing the issues. Like, he's all over the place.
Certainly his internet doesn't seem to be having a great one. As Super 2K gained a second that lap over Arigata. Very, very strong lap out of him. So hopefully we can see Super 2K finally pull in a solid result, I say, as he pulls a snap oversteer coming out of turn 2. First race he hasn't qualified on pole. So, as we saw in the Insiders article, maybe that pole position curse won't come back to bite him.
Correct, and we see Chunk here struggling with traction. He's as well all over those curbs, which is not too smart. That can, like Backlish, we're seeing him struggling behind Graminos, unable to overtake. Both of them having a bit different line to usual in the hairpin. He did
Both of them running right up against that left-hand side of the track.
Yeah.
And because it's banked, that's realistically where you want to be. All the water running off and away from that area. So it's dangerous to look at because of how close they get to the edge of the track, but it is the fastest way around as he gets a good run coming down into the chicane. He'll look over to the right-hand side, trying to clear him under braking, and does, as long as he makes the corner here, which he will do. Short shifting up into fourth, still getting a snap of oversteer on exit, and he'll set his sights up after Philo and that third place position. Excuse me.
Yeah, Chunk used a little bit of overtake when he was overtaking Graminos. Not too much. Graminos used it a bit more in the lap before. Chunk P4, now he needs to hunt down Philo. Philo about 2 seconds in front of him. He's already, like, it was a much bigger gap, just half a second.
Okay, nope, that's just Quackadilly lagging big time again. I hopped on board with him as I was watching him battle it out with a Supa, and the game just thought he didn't brake for turn 1 at one point, lagged him right back behind Supa.
And Supa did right to him. He's lagging big time.
Understandably so. I'm very lucky that he wasn't lag punted off into Narnia. Very dangerous conditions, both because of the wet and because of Quackadilly's internet. So hopefully he can get that somewhat fixed. Fortunately, he's got a huge gap out behind him, so if he wants to just ride this one out, he should be able to do so. As the rain looks like it has, for the most part, stopped, or certainly not falling anywhere near as heavy, and we're possibly flirting with potential for intermediates here.
It should clear up, so we still have a lot of rain. We as well see that Sanchez is all over Gramenos. Gramenos who is struggling to find grip, but Chung in the last lap shaved off a whole second compared to Philo, and actually in the second part of the lap the gap was stable. It was 1.7, so only in the first sector he managed to shave off a second. We see now 1.6, 1.7, 1.5 right now. It seems that Chunk is really strong in this first sector. Let's see, can he make his way up to P3?
Oh, car around Peme has spun it in the Mercedes complex. He looked to be all on his own for the moment, just kind of biding his time. So just a step of oversteer, no contact with any walls. He will continue on. Speaking of contact, though, it looks like Roach has made contact with someone at some point. He does have a little bit of front wing damage as he nearly runs into the back of Lester again, trying to find a way around. And it really looks like this bottom part of the circuit here seems to be where most of the water has been cleared away. There are certainly some sections, especially through the Schumacher S's, where the track does seem to be almost ready for intermediate conditions.
Lupa going wide there, Quackadilly Blip right behind him. Yeah, the water seems to be, I mean, definitely the rain is less strong than it was before. But the drivers are still struggling, so we have these indicators on the left just by the tires, and the water bar is still quite high, higher than the second, well, what do you call it, line? Anyhow,
Second meter.
Yeah, second meter, so it's still very, very high. But we'll see when it starts to drop below that line. It will be time for inters, or maybe some drivers will wait and put the softs immediately. So we see here on this part of the track, yeah, it's pretty much a second meter line.
As Arigata flirted a bit too much with track limits, he got all the way out onto the AstroTurf. He's picked up a half-second penalty going through the Mercedes complex. So he'll have to serve that next time by down the back straightaway coming toward the chicane. As it looks like potentially a little more rain starting to fall again, is that, like you said, that... Oh, and Arigata's gone off! He's off! Philo's going to close in big time here. He is back on track and he will get back going. But what was, I believe, about a 6-second gap is now back under 3. As Chung continues to close in under 1.3 now to Philo. And Arigata still has that penalty to serve here, so he's going to lose even more time. That gap will likely drop potentially under 2 seconds here to Philo as he serves the penalty. Philo closing in at a rate of knots now, having carried the momentum. And the gap now down to 2.2 because of that, as he serves it. Drift King continuing to try to close in, lost a few tenths to Philo through that middle sector of the lap. Probably needs to be a bit careful with how much overtake he's using. Realistically, going to need to catch up to the back of all these cars without using it, and then trying to use it sparingly just to make the pass happen.
Yeah, Gramenos
instead of
here,
using it to catch.
Exactly. Gramenos here defending a lot and used a quarter of his overtake already. And we're in
Lester
lap
as
8.
well, also with a quarter of the overtake used.
And now we do see that this water meter went slightly below.
Has dropped big time, actually, on the front straightaway.
Yeah, and now it will be interesting to see what will be the tactics of
Philo very
drivers.
wide, coming down toward the hairpin.
Okay, Sanchez made a move on Gramenos. Gramenos struggling here for the group. We'll watch this again on replay. Gramenos just missed the braking point, went wide, and then it was an easy job for Sanchez.
So now it's this top half of the circuit, which is once again flirting with the possibility for intermediate conditions. As you can see, under that second line indicator on the track dampness meter, as Chung and Philo both getting big slides going through the chicane. They'll need to be careful not to overheat their tires now coming through this back half of the lap. It looks to be once they get down in towards turn 1, it starts to get a little bit better for them.
We see Chung now very close to Philo.
Oh, and Arigata's gone around again. Arigata spun it coming out of turn 2. Had a big snap of oversteer, just a little too early on the throttle. I think we might have found his kryptonite here. He's been so dominant all season, especially with the pace he's shown in his drives. And, you know, you add a little bit of water to the mix and it's just not gelling for him.
Yeah.
As we are really getting into intermediate conditions here, you can see just how much the track is drying up.
Yeah. Just to add, Arigata spun, but like he was so good when he spun. He only lost 4 or 5 seconds. I would have lost about 15. So yeah. this
certainly
was
a
great.
very impressive 360 to only lose that amount of time, but still a very costly mistake as it did lose him 2 spots on the track. And now Super 2K with a very comfortable 10-second lead already. We're only starting lap 10 of this race. True,
but it can disappear so quickly. It's just one mistake and you're out. We still see a lot of water here on the start-finish line.
Certainly still some standing puddles, but it'll be very interesting. Obviously, drivers could pit now, go on to the intermediates, and it would be faster.
They will need to cool these tires.
Yes, and that's where we'll see them starting to drive offline and try to pick up some of the standing water. But could we potentially see these guys go directly from wets over to the dry compound tires if they're able to make these last long enough?
Definitely. So these tires can last. So if they cool them properly, the track can dry enough so you can go immediately onto softs. And I would say that this is what's going to happen.
I mean, the track's almost bone dry here as we ride on board with Super 2K. It is almost dipping under that first line. In many of these sections of track, he'll want to start thinking about going offline and picking up some of that standing water. He's currently 1.5 up on his fastest lap of the race, which was only a lap ago. That just really shows you how much these tires how much pace these drivers are picking up now that the track is drying out. Although, of course, now we're going to start to see... Oh, as Philo takes a spin over the curb. Oh, he's got to get going out of there. Very precarious spot. Only lost a few seconds. Definitely helped that he was in possibly the slowest part of the track. But these drivers now are really going to start feeling the tire wear start to kick in with how little water there is standing on the track. Yeah, just getting the tire on the curb. Very wet part of the circuit. As we see Gramenos and Payme come into the pits.
Exactly what I wanted to say.
Will this be for intermediates?
Let's see, let's follow this. They cannot refuel. And mediums.
Mediums. Dry compound tires for Gramenos. He will be the guinea pig to test it out.
Mediums.
Needs to be very careful through these first couple corners. Obviously, the pit lane exit still very wet.
Adam went to softs. He's last, so he can afford it. So he's the one actually testing it right now.
Michael pit the previous lap as well. He's currently on mediums. The Super comes out. He's also going on the mediums. Quackadilly has picked up 3 seconds. He must have crossed the line on entry. He's also on the mediums.
Yeah, I just wanted to say how Philo is doing very good in P2, and then 5 seconds later he makes a mistake.
The commentator's curse strikes again. As Super 2K stays out for yet another lap, he's keeping it. He is searching for that for those damp patches now. As his teammate comes in, Chung into the pits. Sanchez stays out, as does Arigata. Chung comes into the pits. Philo comes in. Gramenos already on the dry compound tires. He could potentially jump both of them here.
Definitely. Undercut will be strong, but then you will suffer a bit later. Currently, these wet tires are still quite okay. If you manage to cool them down, they will still be okay in majority of the lap. We still see Arigata all over the place.
Really struggling.
Yeah.
Well, as Gramenos nearly takes a half spin going through turn 1, just took a little too got a little too much into the wet stuff. Has to be very careful with the lines he takes here.
That's a classic Gramenos. He's driving like this from the beginning of the race. I was following him closely at the beginning.
All these drivers pitting onto the medium, Ivan onto the softs, excuse me.
Okay.
Now the good news for all these drivers who are pitting this much later, the dry patch is starting to merge out onto the pit lane exit, so it will be a bit easier for them to make their pit stops and come out without worrying about a potential spin.
Yeah, Scorpio even was struggling a lot right now through the turn 1 as well because of these cold tires.
As Super 2K comes in.
Okay, we'll monitor him. So he's 15 seconds ahead of Sanchez.
Sanchez runs wide. Arigata followed him in. And they are both going to come into the pits. Arigata flirting a bit with that pit lane entry line. That could be dangerous for him if the game thinks he clipped it.
Chang was all over the place in the chicane, but Chang did pit a lap earlier than Sanchez and Arigata, so we're going to see did he manage to undercut them, and it seems
Super
so.
2K out of the pits, again flirting with that pit exit line. Chung up into the second place. He's gained almost 3 seconds is how much that undercut was worth. Super 2K got away with how close he got to the pit exit line. Gramenos now up into third, Sanchez fourth.
Yeah, Gramenos undercut. Like he was the one. He was first to pit, right, to the mediums, and he undercut Sanchez and Arigata. So that was incredible.
Great timing, which puts him up into the third place position. Though again, Sanchez will be all over his gearbox here very shortly. It'll be interesting to see now how long those tires can last, and just see if he can get to the next wet weather period if there is another one coming.
Yeah, mediums can definitely last. I was thinking that majority of the drivers will go on softs, but no, they picked mediums, and we see that Gramenos gained a lot of time.
Excuse me.
P3 for the time being, it's quite incredible for him. Sanchez P4, Arigata P5, and Arigata unable to close in on Sanchez. He is risking, so he is going very wide, trying to maximize the track. We'll see, will it pay off? 15 seconds of the lead.
Oh, as Arigata runs wide, he's missed the chicane. Cuts that inside apex. He's got to hope he doesn't get a penalty for that.
Chang, fastest lap of the race.
Gramenos steals it now.
Steals it, yeah. Incredible pace by Gramenos.
Very treacherous turn one as that dry line really narrows up at the apex. These drivers will need to be very careful about the line they take through there. And Gramanos should probably be careful with how much Kirby's taking going through that Mercedes-Benz complex. Picking up water and shooting it out with the rooster tails, making his way through. He's really playing with how wide that cattle track is for the time being. As Chung looks to continue to close in little by little on his teammate. Gap after the pit stops was 7 seconds. He's brought it down to nearly 6.5 here.
Scorpio even fastest lap of the race, 139 point... well, sharp. 0. Adam almost a minute behind Michael. What happened to him? Maybe some mistake. Daily blip, 14th place. He's another 2 seconds off Adam.
As Super 2K comes up to the line here, takes the fastest lap of the race of 138.8. Chung now over the line. Doesn't go faster.
138.9.
Closed in on his teammate though.
But Sanchez 138.7.
Arigata with a 1 minute 40 that last lap. He's dropping a heap of time here.
He made a mistake, yeah. He's now pushing
again.
in
And he spins
spin.
it again! Spins it once again out of turn one, and he's got huge front end damage. Front wing and front suspension. Oh, the championship leader. There was an article in the Insiders magazine talking about how he was potentially securing himself as a title favorite. And we're finally starting to see him make some mistakes. The pressure is getting to him potentially.
P6 for the time being. This is not good for Arigata.
He will need to find a way to make that suspension and front wing damage last until his next pit stop, whenever that may be. But with how recently they pit, that's going to be a long time from now. He's really got to hope that another massive rain shower comes in realistically, just to minimize the amount of time loss he's going to take.
Definitely. Rain could save him. If not, it's going to be like...
Oh, and he spins it again! Arigata spun round as he comes out onto the back straightaway. Hasn't picked up any more damage, it looks like, but an absolute shame. A race that was looking good at the start, managed to get up into the second position, and now just tumbling down the order, mistake after mistake, and he's coming into the pits. He can't hold on to that car any longer, and he's going to miss the pit entry!
Yeah, this race just went from bad to worse.
Dear me, what has happened to his race? It'll be one to forget for the championship leader.
There's still
as he'll come into the pits. There is still time. There is still time, but he will need to have one hell of a comeback drive if he wants to make up all of this lost time. He's now already over a minute behind the lead now. And he picks up, he gets the 3 seconds for running wide and hitting the hitting the pit wall.
Like that wasn't enough.
Just insult to injury, rubbing salt in the wound. Realistically, he now needs others to make a mistake. Gramanos, speaking of, looks to have spun it just like Arigata did, coming out onto the back straightaway. He's got rear wing damage though.
The same mistake. Those white lines and those curbs are tricky and wet, and the guys shouldn't be going there, but they are going there. They are risking it, and then this happens. So.
And I think Drift King has made a mistake at some point as too. He was he was under 6.5 back. It's now back up to 10.
Yeah,
He's 10 seconds behind his teammate again.
Yeah, he was 2 seconds off the pace in this lap, so might have been a mistake.
He must have made a half spin somewhere. And the other thing to keep note of, he's already used a quarter of his overtake, which, you know, being about a quarter of the way into this race, that's about where he possibly would want to be, except for the fact that his teammate hasn't used any yet.
Who's his teammate? Super S2K?
Super 2K. Yeah, Super 2K.
He did. He used a quarter. They're quite the same, at least on my...
Super S2K's used overtake?
Yeah, I see a quarter.
Well, once again, folks, technical issues. He's got a completely full tank of overtake on my end.
Yeah. Maybe it is full, I don't know. You can't trust Gran Turismo anymore.
You know, this is just one of those lobbies, you know?
Yeah. Look,
and
Japanese
sure
engineering
this
is
will
not...
be...
Yeah.
I'm sure this will be its own article in the magazine later this week.
Yeah, we can say the Japanese...
So, Ivan, hello. I know you and a bunch of others take great pride in those articles you write. They are an absolute blast to read. If you haven't read them, go check out the Grove Street Discord. They've got their own little channel set up where you can go read. I believe we're up to 5 issues now that have been published as Quackadilly goes a lap down. He's gone for a spin coming out of the Mercedes grandstand. He's gone for a second spin, I've just noticed.
I just wanted to say
really,
that
he's doing a great job at getting out of the way of the lead lap cars here.
With all these bugs, Japanese engineering is not as it used to be. With all the great cars and everything that they are producing, this is not one of those. I mean, it's still great, but it can be better, definitely.
It certainly is having a day. And so, while I won't go and try to criticize it too harshly, obviously everyone has a bad day or two. I will say this is certainly not been one of Gran Turismo's greatest days, but we will persevere and continue on, as Sanchez now actually is within 3 seconds of second place here. 2.5 back off of Chung, as could he potentially look for his first second place finish of the season. I believe this would already be his first podium. Second place finish that isn't someone named Super 2K, Chung, or Arigata. That's something we haven't seen yet this year, I don't think.
True, and a good lap again by him, 138.4. That's a nice lap.
And 4/10 up on Chung's previous lap, who I think has once again had a couple laps of issues. 39.2 2 laps ago, and then just ran 38.8.
Phil overtaking Graminos for P4, and we have a 4-way battle for P7. Lester, Scorpio, Ivan, Roach, and Supa, all within 2 seconds, or 3.
And it is worth noting that overtake by Philo over Graminos, likely helped by that rear wing damage that Graminos has been dealing with since his spin. Doesn't seem to be hurting him too much, certainly not as much as Arigata's damage earlier on would have been hurting. But will have certainly lost some lateral G in the corner with needing to protect the back end as Arigata goes and sets the fastest lap of the race, a 38 flat.
Scorpio Ivan going wide at Mercedes-Benz Arena, losing a couple of seconds or a couple of moments, and Roach is all over him, so we are just going to look what happened on the replay. He went wide, went to the wet patch, and yeah, that's it.
Ivan potentially looks to be closing in on Lester, perhaps?
Lester did make a mistake, definitely, because Scorpio even made a mistake in the Mercedes, and he lost a second. But then I guess that Lester made a mistake just after that.
And don't look now. Sanchez under 1.5 seconds now to Chung in that second place. And having now just set the fastest lap of the race, I've just noticed.
Yeah.
Sanchez is having an absolute stormer of a race today.
It can be as well that Lester is having issues because he's on the mediums and even here spending a lot of overtake. He's on the softs and maybe that's the reason he's gaining so much time.
He is gaining for now, but just in that regard, those soft tires probably going to be starting to hurt here as he gets down to about a third of the way worn down. Perhaps a little bit wide through that section, as now it's a four-way battle with the Supa closing into the back of them.
Definitely Supa is having a good race too.
Yeah, great to see out of him, especially after the tribulations he faced in Suzuka a couple rounds ago, and that Sauber pit crew he had. Continuing to close in on these three. I believe he might have been the latest to pit out of these three. So perhaps with some of the best tires, do go and try to get after this seventh place.
Lester is improving his time, lap by lap. He's now into 139s.
And meanwhile, back up toward the front, Sanchez not as great of a lap, ran a 38.2 that previous time around to Chung's 37.7, his personal best of the race that last time by. So responding to the pressure from Sanchez closing in on the back of him. Sanchez, again, you're going to have to correct me if this is completely inaccurate. Looks like he hasn't used very much overtake at all. Perhaps like 95% still left in the tank. Is that correct?
I don't think it is, but we have a huge battle for P7. 4 cars in 2/10, so I'm following that one. Scorpio
yes.
just tried to overtake Lester. Well.
And Roach will have to be careful because, as we might remember, he did pick up front wing damage earlier on in this race, having rear-ended someone. So he'll need to be careful here when he goes to think about making a move. Oh, snap oversteer for Roach as well on exit.
He managed to save it.
Good effort from him still. As they run down into this sequence of corners. A very high or medium speed section here, but still plenty fast in these cars.
Now we see Lester not going so wide now to the curb, all the way on the curb. He did touch it briefly, but he didn't put half of the car on the curb.
Ivan perhaps a little bit wide on that first apex, not really using much of the curb. Though perhaps that could be down to just trying to make sure he doesn't get loose and spin over the curb, because it is still a bit wet on these painted areas. I think Ivan probably needs to be a bit more careful with his overtake as well. Again, assuming that technical issues aren't giving me a false information, as on my end it looks like he's only got a quarter of a tank left.
That's true. He does. And let's check Sanchez. Sanchez used just 2% of his overtake. So
so that is accurate.
Yeah, this race is coming his way. Like, if he can be and stay so close to Chung, he can then use all of that overtake in the second part of the race. Chung, however, did use only 25% as well.
As we look back to that battle for the 7th place position, a little more spread out now as these drivers battle their way through. I haven't said anything about it so far this season. Do you think perhaps that bright gold metallic paint job of Lester's is perhaps a bit of a tactical advantage, especially in conditions like this where at just the right angle it might be blinding the competitors?
Could be.
Just a bit.
Interesting choice. Yeah. Now when you said it, I'm looking at it, and yeah, it's very shiny.
Because, you know, at the start of the season, he ran basically an all-gold car that had very little in terms of sponsorship or just design elements to it. It has since been updated, and I must say, it is a very, very tasteful livery. But
It's
again, you know,
evolving.
just that very sly color choice, it must be said,
Roach.
perhaps going to give him
Roach
an
is attacking.
advantage. Yep, Roach does make the move right there. You might see it going through turn one as he basically ends up broadside to his competitors who haven't quite gotten to the apex yet. Just those really tight hairpins. If the sun hits it the right way, you know, just maybe a little bit of extra glare distract the competitors. As Roach will continue to look for a way to set up a move on Ivan,
Yeah, nowhere
who
through.
I'm sure his tires are now really starting to feel it.
Yeah, Scorpio is feeling it definitely. These tires are not so fast anymore. We see now he's doing sometimes 40s, 39s. He is 2 tenths down on his fastest lap, but still we see that he's struggling, and he's definitely using overtake. So just a quarter of overtake left. And Roach is very, very close. He's as well dropping to 1.5, 1.6 compared to Leicester. Graminos
As
pits.
Gramenos in. Now, is that because the rear wing is costing him too much time, or is this a tactical move onto softs before we potentially see a little more rain coming later?
There will definitely be a little bit of rain. Maybe it's a bit early. I don't know. I guess Graminos tested the
Comes
sun.
out of the pits again on the mediums. And he will drop in behind Lester and just in front of Ivan. So it's now technically a five-way battle here for this now sixth place position.
Graminos had here a situation of almost a perfect tactic. So if he didn't spin earlier, he would exit the
He would have
pits.
easily come out ahead
Yeah,
of Lester here and would
Leicester
have been
and clear
sitting
track.
pretty to go and chase after Paymay potentially.
Bad luck for him now. He needs to clear Leicester.
Well, tire advantage. I would imagine he'll close up at a decent rate of knots. You know, he's had the pace to go and catch and pass pretty much whoever so far today during this race. And then he does have a little more overtake than Lester. Again, assuming Gran Turismo isn't screwing me over here with giving me a false readout.
Yeah, I think that one is
Say
correct.
about 1/3 left for each of them.
Of fuel.
No.
Overtake.
Overtake.
Yeah, that's
About a third left.
that's true. But I wanted just to. We didn't actually follow so much Super S2K throughout this race. In the
As
last 4 laps.
Roach, I'm sorry, has gotten around Ivan. Made the dive in the final chicane, and now Ivan looking to attack back, draining all the overtake. Looking up the inside, got to be careful in case there's any stagnant water that could still be there.
And a touch.
Contact. 3 wide. Supa's gonna get both of them. Scorpio and Ivan ran wide. Through went Supa. Shades of Lewis Hamilton at Silverstone a few years ago.
Yeah.
A fantastic move. Capitalizing on the heated battle between Roach and Ivan. As now Supa will set out in hopes of potentially catching Lester. Although, if Roach has anything to say about it, I'm sure he'll want to get back around his Supa with a snap of oversteer out of the hairpin.
And we see Sanchez starting to use overtake. He's just 8 tenths behind Chung.
And now you were saying about Super 2K before I I had to interrupt you there.
Super S2K, yeah, his laps are incredible. All 37s. Lap 17 and 18 when track was not so dry, 38s, but now he's all the time in 37s, and that's incredible.
He's kind of dipping down into the 30, into the high. Yeah, he's into the 36s now comfortably.
Yeah,
36-1 that last lap.
He nailed that one with 36-1.
That was a very good lap.
It was 8 tenths down his best lap. No, yeah, it was so really incredible.
That was his best lap.
And now he is again. He will be around 136s with half of the fuel left. Arigada 135.7, but Arigada is still P11
currently
after all the issues.
11, and he's caught up to this battle with Ivan, Roach, and all of them, as he looks to make a way through, perhaps a little bit of contact to the back end of Ivan. This will be a very entertaining battle to watch him weave his way through traffic. He should easily have the pace on all of them, but he'll have to work for it. As I don't know, does that cloud cover look a bit heavier to you than it did a few laps ago?
It will rain, yeah, definitely. The clouds are coming in.
As we are side by side a little further up ahead, Supa and Roach side by side through the Schumacher S's. What, bravo, gentlemen. Side by side, flat out for both of them. No contact made yet. What a clean battle. That was excellent job, you two.
Good job, yeah.
Ivan still holding on to that 10th place position now, but Arigada closing in with the overtake. Ivan with defensive move. Arigada had to back out of that one. Oh, and he's going to try the crossover on exit. Ivan's going to catch it, and Arigada's going to let him back through. Very sporting. Great show of sportsmanship there. Not trying to make the pass off of a slight bit of contact coming out of the chicane there. Although that has allowed Michael to catch up to them both here a little bit. As Supa and Roach continue to battle it out. Roach now back ahead of him. They got to be careful with those track limits. We saw Arigada, as he now moves up into 10th place past Ivan, got that penalty a little earlier on. Ooh, that was very wide coming out of the Mercedes complex. Used all the AstroTurf. I'm surprised that's technically within track limits, it seems.
Yeah, it is, and the car was very, very wiggly, so I don't know how Arigada manages to keep it on track. Like the car is all over the place, but again on the curb, again a thing that actually caused him to spin at least once. He's doing it again, so
well, certainly it's not because the curb is wet anymore. It just looks like it's de-wedging the car, and it's pitching him into, and it's just destabilizing the back end, really kicking it out on him, and just he's not able to catch it, or at least wasn't able to catch it on those few occasions. Was able to catch it there. Another snap of oversteer, really pushing this as he tries to hunt down 8th place. Gramenos now only 2 and a bit back from Lester, so he is catching, I believe. Meanwhile, up front, Super 2K still a 15-second lead over his teammate, who has still got 1.5 back to Sanchez. Those two have kind of stagnated now in terms of their on-track placement. We'll have to see what happens once the rain starts to arrive again. Philo out on his own at the moment, 9 seconds in front of him, 20 seconds behind him. Back to Peme, who's got 20 seconds both in front and behind him. Back to Lester now, who holds off Gramenos by 1.6, really. Further 3 back to Roach, who now has Arigada to contend with, having now gotten around Supa. Ivan now closing back in on those incredibly worn soft compound tires. He's got to hope the rain comes very quickly. Michael still running in the 12th place And then it's a bit of a gap back to Adam, running on his own, and then Quackadilly bringing up the rear, having had a few instances of his own today. So the race somewhat settling in here. Main thing to watch for the moment is
And
still
a
Arigata.
touch from Ivan and Michael. Actually, Ivan spun, but then it was a weird pinball effect where he was kicked by Michael, and then he just continued going. I'll show this on the replay. I hope I managed to catch it. Yeah, I did. So let's watch this again. Very interesting.
Yeah, just
breaking into the chicane, a touch on the exit, and then
just that little bit of contact.
Yeah, quite incredible.
Yeah.
Ivan did manage to save it. Still gap only 0.3 between them.
And the gap now 0.7 between Arigata and Roach. Arigata really needing to find some lap time here. Try to get himself back and continue this recovery drive. As we have what I believe that's is that 30 to go? I believe that's 30 to go.
30 to yeah, 29. But
29, 30 to go. We are only halfway through this race, folks.
Graminos overtaking Lester there. I did manage to catch this one as
Arigata does make the dive on Roach. He kind of put Roach perhaps a little bit into the grass, which is why Roach ran a little bit wide. Perhaps Roach might inquire in SI, but we will have to see about that. Arigata now 4 seconds back behind Lester, who has just, like you just said, been passed by Graminos.
Yeah.
Sun's starting to peek through the clouds a little bit for now.
We expected rain.
We did expect rain. We will have to see if it does come. It will be very interesting to see if it does or doesn't. Just looking through the grid, I don't believe any of these drivers have their radar currently out. Let's see if I can find a radar to look at here.
Yeah, you can't see it if they're using it, but I think that at the moment we will not be having anything.
Well, having looked at the radar, there is currently nothing within 100 miles.
Yeah.
So, no rain inbound anytime soon, which must be said, bad news for Ivan, who really could use... Oh, no, he's already coming to the pits now, so he will want this to stay dry for quite some time here. I believe all of these drivers pit onto medium compound tire, around lap 14?
Yeah, something like that. And we see that mediums are quite well. So technically, if you
mediums do seem to go quite well.
You can pull a 22 to 25 laps, maybe even more on mediums, and maybe even now when he pits, maybe he can go until the end. Arigata, we see him just 1.5 seconds away from Lester at the moment, who is about 1.3 seconds away from Graminos. So Arigata here, if he will be composed and just setting in quite nice laps, which we see he's able, then P6 shouldn't be much of a problem for him.
Yeah, I mean, he closed in at well over a second that previous lap, a 36.0 to a 38.3. So, yeah, 2 seconds he gained on that previous lap alone. So you would imagine he's going to really catch up big time here shortly. Again, still over a minute behind the leaders, though. Super 2K, for as much as some of his critics have pushed about it, he's run a flawless race today.
Definitely. Like,
Oh, his
perfect
Gramenos
race.
has a bit of an incident. He's now gonna. He and Lester are gonna start fighting. Arigata all over the back of them. We're gonna have a three-way battle for sixth here. As Lester all over the overtake now, looking to get back around Gramenos. Side by side into turn one. Arigata thought about trying to crossover, not gonna be able to make it happen. Gramenos trying to hold on around the outside. Oh, he ran off track though, I believe, so he might get time penalty for track. Oh, bit of a lag punt from Arigata. I don't think he meant to make contact there. I think the game just thought he was gonna netcode and
Yeah.
run out into the side of him. Arigata now passed both of them
Exactly.
with relative ease, it must be said.
He had a great exit out of Mercedes-Benz, and just some kind of weird netcode happened. Anyhow, Lester let him through. There was no point of the Lester defending against Arigata when the pace difference is so big. It's not his race. His race is against Gramenos, and that race is still on.
Arigata!
And again, Arigata. How did he save it? How?
That was a very impressive save. I genuinely thought that was going to be a humongous impact into the right-hand side wall as these two continue to battle it out. Gramenos has used up all of his overtake. Arigata nearly missed the corner. He ran into the back of him, I think. As Lester finally comes into the pits, his tires are done. Gramenos will continue on. He should be good till about lap 50. He could stretch these tires to the end potentially, I would think.
Could be, yeah, definitely.
It would be hurting toward the end of this, but certainly possible. He's in a great spot if there is any more rain to potentially come.
Well, we saw on Suzuka there was a little bit of rain, and we saw drivers staying out on slicks with ease. So I don't expect that.
That certainly is the case. However, I believe that was only that rain that we got at Suzuka never really got past that first indicator bar.
Yeah.
So these drivers were able to hold on to it because they still had heat in their tires. If we get rain like we saw earlier at the beginning of this race and through qualifying, you would imagine they would they would have to come in at that point.
Yeah. There's not a single cloud again in the sky.
A very beautiful day here in the Eifel region. An absolute, honestly, just a great day for a race as these drivers continue to click off the laps. Up front, to give you a quick update, there's not really been much going on since the early laps of the race. Super 2K now only a 14.7 second lead, so Chung has closed the gap a little bit. As Roach comes into the pits, he's taken a few tenths out of him since the last time we gave an update. But obviously, that gap would need to come down at a rate of knots if Chung wants a chance at becoming the first driver to go from pole position to a win so far in this series. Sanchez has fallen a little bit further back off of him, but still running a very respectable 2 seconds back. Philo now 15 back as he gets into the grass. He a little bit of a running wide through that final chicane. Payme, once again, still out on his own. He's got 20 seconds out front and behind him. Gramenos, having made his pit stop, 10 laps ago or something? He's one of the more recent pits of the previous pit cycle. Has Arigata starting to close in as Payme now comes into the pits. I think these drivers now know that there wasn't any rain coming from that previous stint. So now they'll, especially all those early pitters from the initial pit onto dries will now be looking to come back in and make a pit stop. So those tires lasted, I believe that was 20 laps, the medium tires, give or take.
Yeah, we see here three-way battle. Roach, Supa, Michael, and Scorpio. Ivan is just joining them. Scorpio Ivan on mediums, Michael on mediums, and Supa's on softs. He just pitted 2 laps ago. He put the softs. Softs will not last until the end, so a little bit
Soft certainly
maybe.
won't last to the end here.
Yeah, unreasonable for him because like now he needs to pit again. Whatever he does in this specific stint, it will be like it doesn't have a
He needs
big
to
word.
use these tires, run away as much as possible,
Yeah,
and then hope that rain comes fairly soon here.
and put another pair of softs then.
Well, if there's
Yeah,
rain, realistically he'll want to go
yeah,
straight to wet set of tires.
yeah. If it's
As all of
drizzling,
these
then
drivers
softs is okay. Yeah,
continuing to battle, Michael now up the inside of Roach. Looking to make around the outside work. No, he'll back out of that as they come down toward the hairpin. As Ivan now, once again, makes it a three-way battle. Running a
he's
wider
very
line on
close.
entry. Roach dipping a tire into the gravel as they continue to run it out.
Crocodile blip in the pits.
And Arigata continuing his comeback drive, now under a second back to Gramenos, who himself is only 2 back from Payme. So certainly, in terms of potential... Oh, never mind, Arigata's just spun it again! And he's got damage again! Commentator's curse strikes once more. I am so sorry. He spun it out of turn 1, and once again has knocked that front right suspension and front wing.
Again, the same mistake, the same situation.
What was potential for a drive back to a top 5? Is it too early to call it dead in the water?
Yeah. I mean, no. It is
Well,
dead in the water.
He would need some extraneous circumstances, but it's just...
I mean, P5 was right there for him. And the only
It was
reason...
quite literally less than 4 seconds up the road.
Yeah.
And after all the trials and tribulations he's already been through in just this first half of the race, it really is just a shame and a case of what could have been for our championship leader. As he'll come into the pits, oh dear. I think he's going to pick up another 3 seconds there, potentially.
Yeah.
He will come into the pits, he will fix the damage. Could we potentially see him go onto a set of hard compound tires, run it to the end?
No need for that, but mediums will last. 22 laps, yeah, that's okay.
No, yeah,
I think
that
he'll
is a
go
fair
on
point.
other sets, yeah. James is saying
As he
softs
will
can do
come out
22.
of the pits. And no, the game didn't give him a penalty, so no salt in the wound this time.
Yeah.
But he is, once again, exiting out behind Ivan. And actually, he's gone a lap down. He has Chung, his championship rival, closing in to lap him here. So, I mean, you would imagine he would have the pace to keep up, or potentially even outrun the second place driver here. But, yeah, just an unfortunate circumstance where he'll likely be held up behind lap traffic and will eventually have to concede the position and give way to blue flags, which he's already getting indicators for.
both Chang and Sanchez have exactly the same tires. It's just that Sanchez hasn't really used the overtake button.
He has barely used it at all this race. 1.7 back. He'll need to get a little bit closer if his goal is to just drain it and get around him. But Arigata, or sorry, not Arigata, Chung really doing a decent job at, or yeah, you know, he's been using that overtake sparingly, which we didn't, but actually no, that's his teammate. I'm getting a lot of these drivers confused with one another today, aren't I? He's been using it sparingly, which is what he needs to be doing. He's just biding his time as Philo comes into the pits. Hasn't made too many mistakes. Obviously, he had that spin early on, which dropped him out of the lead. Really, it was lap 1. Just, I don't know if it was a nudge or just a snap of oversteer. Just unfortunately lost the back end either way. Dropped him down to the 6th place, and has clawed his way back up into 2nd, and now continues to run at a stable pace behind his teammate, who I'm sure will be thinking about potentially coming into the pits relatively soon. Super 2K, I believe we said he was one of the ones that had that bugged out overtake meter.
Yeah, Arigata again, very wide. Scorpio even letting him through, actually. Even didn't want to lose time on battling with Arigata. He just let him through. Literally, he braked and then let him through.
Well, knowing his battle, certainly a choice to make, and, you know, a calculated one, it must be said, from the veteran driver. As Arigata continues to try to close in, try to salvage whatever he can out of this event, really. And I'm sure Ivan will be hoping that... as Ivan goes for a spin! He doesn't make any contact, though, fortunately. And very careful to not back up into traffic. An unfortunate case for Ivan. Once again, turn 1, as I'm about to make a comment about what a driver's strategy might be in terms of racecraft that they're planning, just drops it on the exit of turn 1. You know, if I had a nickel, you know how that saying goes?
Yeah.
Oh, brother.
I mean, this tends to happen to me. I'm not really driving Gran Turismo, but when I do, there's a thing when you're on softs, as Ivan was, and then you switch to mediums. It has that slightly bit less grip, and if you're not used to that, if you're not driving it actively all the time, then you just hit that gas pedal a bit too hard, and off you go.
Just the muscle memory.
Yeah.
And speaking of memory, Yoo-hoo, I'm back, says Sanchez, as he's now almost within 1 second of Drift King here. Drift King actually a bit wide through the chicane. Sanchez is going to close in. He's under a second now comfortably. Does he start to use the overtake? No, he doesn't. Never mind.
And Chang was a bit wide again, but he did manage to get a decent exit out of the last corner. 8 tenths still. This is very close. And Sanchez
this will continue to be a very intense battle through to the end here, I think.
And look at Sanchez's pace. 36s. All of them. Incredible. Really incredible.
Very consistent lap times.
And the same from Chang. I'm similar. He has 135 and the last one
definitely
is 37.
Similar. He's had a couple outliers, a 35 and a 37, but you know, he's been in the 36s, but those, I would argue that those 36s are much more spread out than Sanchez's have been.
Yep.
You know, you have a 36-0, 36-1, 36-5, 36-6. They've all been within 0.6 of a second these last 10 laps. Chung, meanwhile, has had a lap time spread of, what is that, 1.2?
Yeah.
As Gramenos now into the pits.
Much more consistency from...
Actually, that's a fairly early pit for Gramenos. I think we said he was probably going to consider trying to go to the end.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Not
you
really
know,
sure
30 laps to
why.
go probably should have been a smarter call from me.
He put
Hey,
another
why is
pair
he
of
going into the
softs.
softs?
They can last till the end. 70 laps to go. He is P6. He has a clear air. Why not? I mean,
Yeah, but I mean, 17 laps when medium tires were realistically only going about 20?
22. Yeah, I think it's doable. I think it is.
Well, they're going to be hurting.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens. Still 2 and a bit clear from Leicester, which is about the only good news he's got going right now.
This is a
Arigata
great race for
back up
Grammars.
into ninth. Back up into ninth, closing in on Supa. Roach still kind of in the same area code, only 8 or so tenths back. But Arigata, purple sector for him in sector 1 or 2. I don't know what that is. Using the overtake now as he'll sneak a bit of slipstream, dives it up the inside, and will clear Supa for the 8th place position. 7 tenths up on this lap. Philo now with the fastest lap of the race, a 34.8. An absolute flyer out of him. Very impressive, as we'll see what this lap looks like for Arigata, whose previous best was a 35.0. You would imagine this potentially gets the fastest lap, and it does. 34.2. New fastest lap of the race, as Quackadilly is seen letting by this large train of drivers now, stretching from 6th place Gramenos, realistically, back down to Michael in 11th.
If you'd be Sanchez, would you go for an undercut on softs? The difference is the gap is 6, 7 tenths depending on where they are on track. Softs do have that speed. 16, 15 laps to go.
We are at 15
overtake
to go here. You're right. I would consider coming in this time if I was Sanchez. He is all over the back of.
He needs to
all
roll
over
the
back
dice.
of him.
The longer he waits,
realistically, he's not. Yeah. He's only getting held up here at this point. He has the pace. He ran. It was a 36.7 to a 37.3. He's being held up at the moment. I'm coming in.
Yeah.
Or no, scratch that. I'm doing whatever he doesn't do.
Yeah.
If he comes in, I'm staying out one more lap, and I'm going to see if I can try to overcut him somehow. If not, oh well. If it works out, great. If not, then you've got that extra one more lap with fresher tires.
True. I think the undercut chance was last lap. We'll see now. I suspect
we will have to see. Do they come into the pits? Chung comes in. No, he will follow him in.
Yeah, incredible. I would definitely do the opposite.
No, he will shadow him into the pits. These two drivers, 15 to go. You would imagine they would go to softs. It'll be interesting to see if either of them go to a set of mediums here.
No, definitely. It'll be just a sprint. 40 laps to go on softs.
Also worth noting, in that exchange, Super 2K has managed to pull out yet another second and a half. Chung's tires really were hurting him, as they both do come out on the soft compound tire.
Yeah,
Nico need to be careful of this turn 1 exit.
Nico with 33.5.
But they both navigate it expertly well, as Sanchez now has actually gained a bit of time on pit exit. Only 3 tenths in it. He might be looking to size up a move here immediately. Coming down through this lovely sequence of corners toward the hairpin. Or perhaps Sanchez is just looking to ride it out for the moment. Not really peeking out of line, just kind of running his race, being safe with the lines. Still has almost all of the overtake to use, and is actually in a much better position in terms of fuel compared to Chung, which might be his strategy for the moment. Just save a bit of fuel so that way he can push flat out when the time comes. Super 2K now into the pits. Actually ran a 38.3 on a previous lap, so small mistake out of him somewhere. Not that it's going to matter. He will come out of the... Oh, yellow flag. There's a yellow flag on track somewhere.
No!
And Gramenos has disconnected. What a shame. He was running so well inside the top 10. That is... I'm stunned. That is highly unfortunate.
I can't even find him on the replay.
So that would be a disconnect then, I would imagine. Chung has managed to pull a couple tenth gap over Sanchez that previous lap. Philo currently 11 back from that battle for third at the moment, as it looks like he'll be trying to go to the end on that set of mediums. Pei we would imagine, would also be trying to stretch it to the end. Lester, who's currently under fire from Arigata looking around the outside. Ooh, snap of oversteer. This could give Lester a run, potentially. Is he using overtake? He doesn't really have much to use.
No, he's out of overtake at the moment.
He just ran out. Arigata holding it round the outside.
Nice one.
Another snap of oversteer. You know, a solid move around the outside of two corners to make it stick. Oh, he's wide. That was 4 tires into the AstroTurf. Does he get the penalty for that? You know, I don't think he did.
Yeah, Lester
lucky
actually,
son of a gun.
Lester actually made a mistake into the chicane, and that brought Arigata really close to him.
That is what allowed him to get make the move happen into that corner. Michael and Supa currently battling it out. Supa on some very worn soft tires. Michael, I don't... if he's going to try to go to the end from here, it's going to be quite the challenge. As he's got Roach currently all over the back of him as well. Slightly fresher medium tires, but again, also not in a great spot, must be said. But we would imagine Supa will have to make one more pit stop here before the end. So, unfortunate for him, as I mentioned it earlier, it's happening again. Cloud cover's coming back over the circuit.
Is there another twist coming?
Could we see a big shower in the final few laps? One last monkey wrench to try to throw a spanner in the works. As Super 2K now sets the fastest lap of the race, 32.9. Jeez, an absolute stormer of a lap time. Although again, that is previous fastest lap was set on the medium tire. As Chung ran a 35.0 that lap, and not a great. He was a second slower than Sanchez. He must have made a mistake somewhere. Who is now, once again, all over the back bumper. And has, I believe, started to use a bit more overtake. So once again, this battle for second really the most intense battle out on track for the moment. Arigata, unless he somehow manages to find 22 and a half seconds in these final, 12, 13 laps? I don't really see him catching Pei. Though for the moment, it looks like it could potentially be possible, but it will be an extreme challenge, and one that was greatly helped out by the fact that Gramenos disconnected. So realistically, that 6th place should, in theory, be 7th.
And as well, even if he does come close to Pei has a lot more overtake, so it will be easy for him to defend.
Well,
Sanchez all
certainly
over Chang.
defend on the straights, but it'll be quite the order to defend from a car that is almost 2 seconds a lap faster. And ideally most of that coming from the corners. But these drivers will continue on. Only 6/10 between the second and third place drivers as they continue to battle it out. I'd make a comment about our leader, but he's 15 seconds out in front. Even if he has a bit of a skill issue, takes a spin off in the gravel somewhere, he'd still hold the lead, assuming he doesn't pick up damage from it. So realistically, he just needs to worry about the exit of turn 1, which has been the main point where we've seen drivers pick up damage. Just keep it off the walls, and he is looking very good to go to the end from here. Half a second now between between second and third. Sanchez continuing to hound the AMS driver. 4/10 now as they come through these sequence of turns and onto the back straightaway, drag racing down toward the final chicane. 2/10 down on his personal best this lap so far for Sanchez. But both of them through very smoothly. Perhaps a little bit better of an exit for Sanchez. Running that wider line, trying to carry momentum, just, doesn't really work when it's not in the wet. As he'll lose a couple tenths as they come up to the back of this is Ivan running in the 10th place. He'll jump out of the way of the two leaders. And a good show of sportsmanship and racecraft from the veteran driver. So once again, AMS Super S2K still leads with a 15-second gap. Chung holding on to that second place by about 3.5 tenths for the time being over Sanchez. Philo running fourth, 13 and a bit back. Payme a further 30 seconds back. Ari got another 20 back still. Not really holding enough lap time in hand to be able to go and chase down Payme. Lester running in the 7th place position, followed by Michael. A good showing from Michael here. I believe this to be one of his stronger finishes on the season so far. It should results finish as is. Roach potentially looking to hunt Michael down a bit. Has a little more tire wear, a little more overtake, but a little less fuel to work with. Ivan, as we just spoke about, running in the 10th position, followed by Supa in 11th, Adam in 12th, and then Quackadilly rounding out the grid, running 13th for the time being, and I believe 2 laps down now.
Yeah, still a big battle between Chung and Sanchez. 7 tenths away, but Sanchez unable to attack Chung properly. Chung still has plenty of overtake. Only 8 laps to go. Is now the
Certainly,
time.
if he's going to continue to use it sparingly, that amount of overtake is not going to hamper him too much. The question is, does Sanchez start to drain his a little bit just to try to make Chung use his a little too early? As they continue to battle it out. This will be a showdown to the finish. Don't go anywhere, folks. As we continue to look through the grid.
And
that is the closest battle on track by far.
It is as well cloudy still, so we cannot rule out a little bit of rain until the end of the race.
And I'll just take a quick look at our in-game radar here, see if there's any sort of activity for the time being. Not seeing anything. Looks like we do have a little bit potentially popping up, but nothing that will warrant a switch onto the intermediates just yet.
It will
Small
just make,
shower,
yeah, just
small
make
drizzle
things
really popped up within the
spicy.
last few minutes that didn't really
Yeah.
affect anything. So these
Yeah.
drivers will continue to battle it out. Super S2K now going to put Lester a lap down, as the gap now for second, almost a second. Lester with a, or sorry,
Ooh,
Sanchez with a
Ivan
much
with a
better.
spin.
Who did?
Ivan with a spin, Scorpio.
Oh, Ivan. Oh, he's got to be careful in that rejoin! Who was that just came through?
I just put on the replay, I didn't see.
I'm
Just
not
lost it
sure
on
who
the...
that was who just drove through that.
Yeah.
Actually, I believe that might have been a Philo who was going past at that point. Ivan, that was a bit close there, bud.
Yeah.
Back just as falling back up with Arigata, who is the last car on the lead lap for the time being, trying to hunt down Peme. Still 16 and a half back, and not really closing in anymore. Only gained half a second on the previous lap. So once again, the real battle is 4 seconds, as it looks like Chung actually made a mistake some point in the back half of the lap. Gap back down to about 6-7 tenths, and I think he's used a little more overtake in that time frame as well. Only 6 or 7 laps to go here. Time is starting to run out, so Sanchez, if he wants to make that move for second, will have to think about it within the near future.
Maybe he's happy with P3. I don't know.
I mean, I certainly would be very happy with the P3, given the quality of this field, but, you know, he can see it in front of him. He knows how much overtake he's got left. And it's good. There shouldn't be any weather activity in the near future, unless by some miracle the heavens just opened up and just a torrent of rain dropped down onto this grid. But we're not expecting any intervention from the divine. So
Yeah.
this will be a straight up brawl to the finish. 8 tenths now separating the two. Anyway, Sanchez
yeah.
continuing to try to close in. He looks like he's getting better exits.
I'm a bit
I
surprised
think Chung,
to
however,
see...
yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised to see, like, majority of these drivers are A+ drivers with their ratings, but the grid is... Like, some drivers are 1.5 minutes, 1 minute 40, 2 minutes off the pace in a 1 hour, okay, 1 hour and 30 minutes race. That's a lot, but still, it's maybe a bit too much. I don't know. I would expect them to be closer together.
Certainly, we could expect that, but again, this was our first rain race of the season, and really, we saw a lot of these drivers get caught off guard, and it's just, you know, we've seen a lot of these drivers make a lot more mistakes than we're kind of used to out of this series. And ironically, the driver that a lot of people have sort of pinned or have taken note as being mistake prone in Super 2K, he's ironically enough run a flawless race. 18 seconds now his lead over Chung and Sanchez, who are now catching up to the lap car of, I believe that was Roach. So there's still another 2-3 cars for in that 18-second gap that Chung and Sanchez would need to navigate if they were to ever get to Super 2K. As now it looks like Chung might start to get held up by the lap traffic potentially. This could allow Sanchez to get right up to him. And it's certainly closed in by a tenth or two through the Mercedes complex. Chung with maybe a marginally better tire wear. But only on the right front so far. And you would imagine that's just down to each driver's setup. 5/10 of the gap with 5 to go here. I think Sanchez is just sizing him up for a final lap or for last lap charge. And he's got almost twice the amount of fuel remaining that Chung has.
Yeah.
Certainly both of these drivers should be good to go to the end here, but Sanchez will really be in a great spot to just let the motor have at it. He has all of the available power to him and does not need to worry about conserving whatsoever. As we now come around to 4 to go, or second and third come around to 4 to go. Super 2K has been on this lap for about 30 seconds now already. As they come up to even more lap traffic now. As Philo into the pits.
He has a free pit stop. 35 seconds.
He does have a free pit. Yeah. He does have the free pit stop, so potentially going for fastest lap, steal a bonus point potentially. I don't know if that's included in the points format.
Most likely, and he has plenty of overtake to do that. Yeah.
Yes, he has more than enough for one final hero lap. And he does come out onto the soft compound tires and well ahead of Payme, who's not even at the final corner yet. Arigata now 12 back from Payme. Not gonna catch him in time, should be said. He's really still struggling with the back end of his car. Lester out on his own, Michael on his own. Michael actually has Super 2K closing in on the back of him, I believe. Or no, actually that is the two leaders, or not. That is Chung and Sanchez closing in to the back to his gearbox. Roach on his own, Supa on his own, Ivan on his own. Adam's got a half-second penalty, but is on his own. Quackadilly 5 minutes behind the leader.
Yeah, so except for this battle, the race has settled a bit. So
this race is all but settled now in terms of everyone's finishing positions, barring any last few mistakes. This is the battle on track. This final battle for which driver is where on the podium.
3 laps to go.
Chung potentially held up a little bit by Michael there.
Slightly,
Michael, you really got to get out of the way. That's going to allow Chung to get away from Sanchez here a bit. As Michael does get out of the way eventually, but that cost Sanchez about 4/10 there. Still has all the overtake you could want for what will be these final 2.5 laps. Smooth exits from both of them. A little bit of overtake use. He's starting to lay on the button. 5/10 now. He is closed in big time in the middle sector of this lap. And now he's really going to start to use the overtake button. Needs to be careful to not use it too much as he tries to catch up. He's going to have to save it for when he gets close.
Bad exit by Chung.
Chung with a bad exit. He had a step of oversteer in between the two apexes of the chicane.
Still found the
Actually, it might help.
Last corner,
He's really strong through that final corner, though. Right up until Sanchez now starts to use his overtake, though. Closes right back to within 4/10. Oh, is he a little wide through there, potentially? I think he was. 3/10 now. With 2 laps remaining here at the Nurburgring. Chung managing to get a better exit there. Perhaps pushing track limits a little more, trying to be a little more aggressive with it. Certainly using a lot more curb on exit, which these drivers certainly can do now that the track is basically bone dry. Sanchez with another great exit, another boost out of the overtake button. Beginning to close up to the back, 2/10. Does he think about the move into the chicane on this lap, or does he save it for the last one? Oh, he was perhaps a little bit wide through that complex, though. Chung's going to get away a little bit. He still has a quarter percent more overtake than Chung, though. As Super 2K already on the final lap as he makes his way through the Mercedes complex. Chung and Sanchez will continue to battle it out. 7/10 now. Chung had a much better exit. 1 lap to go here in Germany. An intense battle that has raged on for more than half of this race. Sanchez having closed in little by little to where now he is all over the gearbox of the AMS driver. Searching for their second 1-2 of the championship. First one coming at Bathurst.
He's not really using overtake button, Sanchez.
No, he certainly isn't just yet, but he's going to save it for this back half of the lap where he knows he's stronger. He just needs to make sure he hits his marks. 5/10. This is where he's going to start closing in. All over the overtake now. He needs to be careful with not using too much. Chung now will also be starting to think about using his own. 3/10 as they come into realistically what is the last overtaking opportunity on the track. Chung a little bit wide. This is going to open the door for Sanchez. All over the overtake button. He's going to drain it now. Both of them draining it toward this final chicane. Chung should have enough overspeed to hold it off. We have a yellow flag in this final sector. Super 2K has won the race here at the Nurburgring. Chung and Sanchez will hold on to it. Positions will hold station. It's an AMS 1-2 as Super S2K leads home the field for his first win of the season. Chung brings it home to reclaim first in the Drivers' Championship, and Sanchez will bring home a well and hard-fought third place for himself. Philo will round the corner and bring it home in the fourth place position. Payme.
And the fastest lap for Philo.
Philo with the fastest lap, a great final lap for him. No overtake left for him at the end of it, as Payme will come around through the final sequence of corners. I believe he is the last car to finish. Arigata, a race to forget, as he actually, I believe he was the cause of the yellow flag. All the front end damage.
No, actually,
on
it
his
is
car.
Quackadilly camping here at the final corner, which is causing a yellow flag. So every attack that would happen into the chicane would actually end up with a penalty if the flag rules are up, which is not too smart to do. So Quackadilly should
Certainly
be
not.
doing this.
So I'm sure the admins will have a word with him regarding that. But Arigata, a race to forget. He must have had some sort of mistake late in the running as we were watching that battle for a second. He's picked up a lot of damage on the front end. But that will do it here at the Nürburgring. Don't go anywhere just yet, folks. We're going to try to bring you post-race interviews very shortly from our top three. Once again, congratulations to AMS Super 2K. A brilliant drive, a flawless drive, it must be said. Qualified third and was able to got himself up to second after coming out of turn one. Got himself into the lead when his teammate had the mistake, and just ran away with it from there. So don't go anywhere, folks. We will get you those interviews momentarily. And I will see you in the Discord VC.
Yeah, correct. All set.